they're gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never.
How's everybody doing? Thank you for tuning in. We have another edition of
Be the chosen one. Yeah.
the Lawn Care Help Desk. We've got lots of people coming in. Give me just a minute to get situated, and I'll come back on.
Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history. Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. This fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.
All right. How is everybody doing? Welcome aboard. We've got another Sunday live show. How is everyone doing? Hopefully everyone is healthy and safe and holed up and not being attacked by all kinds of coronavirus and everything else that's going on out in the Wild Wild West. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, this is what I like to call the weekly lawn and garden show, although I've kind of been titling it here now, the Lawn Care Help Desk, which indeed it is. A little bit about me. My name is Matt Martin now, so go by the Grass Factor here on the Dude Tube. My background is turf grass management. I have spent pretty much the entirety of my career in lawn care, so I can offer you a bit of advice, answering questions about, well, lawn care. Kind of what I like to get into is I enjoy the science of why we do what we do, and it is a mission of mine I've taken upon myself to make sure that everybody is out there doing the safest things they can, and hopefully provide some scientific explanation to make the best and most economical decisions you can while out in the field that benefit both environmentally and also your end desired result too. Because we all know at the end of the day, results come first. Okay, now, one thing I have to say is that even though I may be answering questions about turf grass, I do make mistakes. It's the nature of the business. So if I tell you something incorrectly, you cannot sue me. The lawyers tell me to say that. But the chance of me telling you something incorrectly is going to be only about, I don't know, 50%. No, I think we'll do a little bit better than that. But one of the things I try and make sure is not cross-reference which herbicides on opposite grass types. Basically, I don't want you spraying sulfonyl ureas that you can't spray on cool season grasses on cool season grasses. So I'm going to do the best I can in that regard. All right, now we are going to move into that segment of the show that I like to call the roll call. So I'm going to quickly run through here and see who is all in the chat. My goodness, Matty G was first. What is going on, Matty G? Matt is here to put his daughter to sleep with the content he has going on. That's fantastic. I'm glad to know that I can put a young girl to sleep of all. Strike It Rich is pouring a bourbon. That sounds delicious right now. I am not. I do need a water, probably. I'll figure that out as I go along. The Lawn Stripes, you were not the dirty first, but you may have been actually the dirty first, where Matty G was just first. You were the first dirty first. How about that? How about that? RBL Jackson is here. What is going on, sir? How are you? I'm glad you got to tune in. I know you're usually working the night shift. Thank you for your service and all that you do. And welcome aboard the Lawn and Garden Show. We got Kenny Cooper here, David Hensel, Danger Lawn, J Farm, Kevin Shepard, Lushy! What are you doing, Lushy? We got Sandman's Dreamland, Sonny Bermuda, Ballistic is here. My buddy, I think I'm the only one online that knows his real identity, and we're going to keep it that way tonight. Too many sound effects. Sean H. said, double mode today in St. Louis, gearing up to throw down some Carbonex this week. Hiya! All right, so as we move into the show, this is how this works. It is an open format, meaning you ask questions, I will do my best to provide the most accurate answers that I can. This is a user-driven show, a viewer-driven show, so the more questions you ask, the longer and harder I can go on a subject. And I can be as technical as you want, or I can be as easy, glossing over it as you want. I will understand that if I ask a question that is too vague and too general, do not be frustrated if I come at you pretty aggressively, because I do not want anybody to oversimplify any decision when it comes to applying an herbicide. Now, I can talk about that in all kinds of other ways, but for the time being, we're just going to leave it at that and have a little good time with it. Some quick housekeeping for those of you that are into podcasts. I will give you some extra content here. You can watch this on Kenny Cooper, unnecessary, sir. You can hop over to Anchor and listen there. If you're more of a Spotify person, you can hop over to Spotify. You can go to turfsupradio.com and see where every day, Monday through Friday, I do a 2-hour live show where we go absolutely ham on air, and it is a really, really good time. Little different format. I like to dive deeper into subjects there, but it is still a good time nonetheless. Let's see. I think I'm on some other podcast platforms, the other one being Apple Podcast. I don't know what that is, what the link to that is. So, yeah, I do not have my own link to Apple Podcast. I do have one to Google Podcast, though. If anybody has my Apple Podcast link, feel free to throw it in the chat. I will approve it, because I think it will get filtered. All right, now that we, I think we are good to go ahead and get started on the show. All right, let's see if we got some first questions in here. I think I saw one. Let's see. What's up, Marco Canchola? West Covina, man. Golly, California sounds nice right now. What's going on? Everybody's good over here at my house. There's no doubt about it. We're all good. We've been holed up. Lushy, what are you doing? Wrong. I meant to do that. All right. Now, where were we? Matt, lawn pest management whiteboard. I mean, come on, give the people what they want. I'm working on it. So right now I'm kind of going through the series of pH manipulation, and then I'll move on to that. Am I going to do it in front of a whiteboard? Probably not. But I'll probably do like I did the other day where I filmed it out in front of a school, because I was taking that ass to school. Lushy said there's a 50% chance I'll freak out over tip burn. That is for sure. The lawn stripes. Any responses back from the the people in Ohio's legislature about the non-essential people? Yes, there was, and it was specified through the state that landscaping was deemed essential. Now, I'm sure that's been passed on and to each individual county, and everybody can chill out. I hope everybody chills out over it. I've got my information out there and told at least my friends in those counties that are under threat right now that if they do go to jail for treating lawns, I will be more than happy to bail them out, and I will. So we'll see how it all plays out. But as of right now, it has been amended to list landscaping. So we will see how it continues to move forward. Toasting my brother who just left his green earths. I am very, very sorry for your loss, Drake it Rich. I am very sorry. Ned said, can I put prodiamine down, followed right away with a liquid Fertap 1801 to water it in? You cannot water in prodiamine with a liquid Fertap. So what you can do is combine your liquid Fert and your 1801 in the same container and make one application and then water both those in. That's what you can do. You're not going to get nowhere near the volume of water of making a liquid fertilizer application to water in your prodiamine. Gary Evans says, when lawn was grown from seed, compost was spread except for a 20 by 20 area. It ran out. Now that grass can't catch up. It is thin and less robust. Ideas? Thought about Scott's Foundation product. I don't know. I don't know a lot about the Foundation product. I have a product called X-Soil that would be great for that. But yeah, you want to obviously to get it to catch up. You would either have to fertilize just that area or get some compost on that area. That would be the easiest way to get up. Let's see. Where am I? OSU Turfman has some commercial residential approved for mowing, commercial spray fur okay, not on residential for now. There's a clarification. I did not see that, so there we go. MSM turf versus Fahrenheit versus negate. Okay, MSM turf is methylfuran methyl. Fahrenheit is methylfuran methyl and dicamba. Negate is methylfuran methyl and rimsulfuron. So they're completely different. MSM turf is designed, as a broadleaf weed control. Fahrenheit is designed as a broadleaf weed control with just a tiny kick of dicamba in it. And then negate is designed as a broadleaf weed control with a tiny kick of more tougher to control grassy weeds in it. Rimsulfuron, also being known as Transit, has a pretty decent wide label on different grasses that it can control. Sean H. Matt, can you clarify the nitrogen content in X-Soil? I've heard some conflicting info. Yeah, so typically we will let it compost till it's just beneath a 111 is where we like it to be. Is there a chance for it to bounce maybe a little bit higher from there to there, time to time? Yeah, it depends on the outcoming NPK ratio when we pull it out of the chicken house, because it has to go from there and then it has to sit for 16 weeks to leach out the sodium. So typically what's going to go into like Carbon-X and 818, we only let sit on the compost pad for about 8 weeks because that's when we can leach out enough sodium. So we get it down less than 4 parts per million after about 8 weeks in the compost pad turning. At 16 weeks, you really start to lose your NPK values out of it. So that's why you get that down. Now, depending on your compost pile, it may vary throughout it. So, somewhere between, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 and 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, probably in there, give or take 0.5%. The reason why it's labeled as a soil amendment is because we can't guarantee a 0.000. Like it's against it to guarantee that. That's against the law. And because there is so much variability in the product, because there is no synthetic product that can give me a guaranteed maximum. Otherwise, we would have to label the product every batch we ran. So, say we've got, 400, 500, 600 tons sitting on a compost pad. We granulate that material. We know that batch, when we start granulating it, it may be like a 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. By the time we get to the end of it, it may be like 0.75, 0.75, 0.75. For each batch we ran through the granulation equipment, we would have to label that as a separate fertilizer. So the easiest way to do that was we call AFCO, and AFCO was like, just do it as a soil amendment since it's just organic material that's been fortified with biochar and infused with a biostimulant. That's just the easiest way to do it. We're like, okay, great. We'll just do it that way. Hope that answers your question. And that's all that's in the bag, right? So it's poultry manure that came directly from the house, where the biochar acted as the adsorbing agent in the poultry house. We pull it out after it spends 8 weeks with the duration of the bird absorbing all the manure and stuff. We pull it out. We put it on a compost pad. We turn it every week. You run this huge machine across it on a tractor, and it turns a pile. And then after you leach out your sodium, well, really after you hit a certain time frame, really at that point, you go ahead and bring it in. But what we have found is that typically it takes about 8 weeks to get all your sodium down to an acceptable threshold. There we go. No Pandora. I think it does actually transfer over to Pandora, but I don't share it specifically on Pandora. I don't think. That's fixed for the county by county issue. Yeah, that's a good one. I do not know. RBL Jackson says, okay, Matt, if you picked up a Bermuda yard covered up in rescue grass, wild mustard, dandelions, henbit, and rye, how would you regain control? Customer won't go for a glide and start over application. Well, if it's a Bermuda yard, this is probably what I would do. Is I would go get some Tribute Total, and let's see, mustard, dandelion, henbit, and rye. I'd go get some Tribute Total and some Speed Zone Southern, and I'd go light that bad boy up. That is what I would do, and I think that would pretty much take care of everything you have in there and would be a start over. Tribute Total, Speed Zone Southern. Ron Hunter, what would you recommend to treat Dallas grass in a cool season lawn? Pilex works exceptionally well. And you can combine it also with one of the grass and weed controls like Acclaim, Fluazafop. Fluazafop plus Pilex is extremely effective on Dallas grass. Pilex plus, I'm sorry, that's Phenoxaprop. Acclaim is Phenoxaprop. Fluazafop is over the top, Ornamec over the top. Ornamec over the top combined with Pilex is exceptionally effective too on Dallas grass. Pilex in and of itself is effective too, but typically you're looking at 3, maybe 4 applications at the highest rate in order to get control of it. Charles Hurley says, I've got a new customer that said his Bermuda is looking really gray. We are breaking out of dormancy in some places up to 50% now. I've not put eyes on his yet. Is this a result of Gly in round 1? No, probably not. It could be. It could be, but gray, gray is one of those tricky things. But typically when I see gray, that means winter kill got it. Charles, what rate of Gly did you run round 1? And probably what I would do is go ahead and when you take a look at it, it may be gray, that's fine, but go ahead and scalp it. And if you're out of your frost line, you don't see any frost in the future, go ahead and hammer it with like some urea, some 4600, something like that. And it should jumpstart it back in. Typically, depending on your rate, you may get about a 2-week delay. So if you've got some places up to 50%, his may just be starting in about another week or so before it starts to push out. And then when it does, typically it'll come with a vengeance. Let's see. When will it rain again in Florida? I am not the weatherman. What's up, Gravy Lookout? How are you, sir? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Sunny Bermuda says, Matt, I have 3,500 square feet touching a 3-acre pond. It slopes towards the pond. Is Carbon Earth product safe to use near ponds? Keep a nice buffer because with any fertilizer you're using whatsoever, in a hard enough rain, you can wash it in there. It doesn't matter if it's liquid. It doesn't matter if it's granular. You can, if with a hard enough rain, you can get it to run towards it. So what I would do is keep a nice safe buffer. Typically what I would do is keep about a 20-foot buffer on fertilizer. I would not fertilize within 20 feet of the pond. And that was typically just what I did. Matt G, do you have a recommendation for PGR to use on Bermuda? I also know that the heat is important to green up by Bermuda. But any other suggestion to help it green up quicker? To make it green up quicker, cut it short. And if you don't have any frost in the forecast, go ahead and fertilize it. I mean, at that point, if you got no frost in the forecast, just go ahead, get it out. If it might. Some instances it does, some instances it doesn't. It depends on how much sun exposure it has. There's a lot that goes into it. So, in my opinion, chasing that hurry up, greened up Bermuda is, yeah, you may get it to green up faster, but is it going to be better for it in the long run? Probably not. As far as an affordable PGR, I think T-Nex is probably about as cheap as it gets when it comes to a PGR. So I would probably look at that. Checking in from Kansas City. What's up, dog? Jansen Clayball. That's what I'm talking about. That's a mighty Tennessee name if I've ever heard one right there, Mr. Clayball. I'm in Middle Tennessee. Lawn is 50-50 fescue Bermuda. Should I treat as a cool or warm season lawn? So I cannot answer this question. Ultimately, it's up to you. You have to make the determination whether or not you want a warm season or a cool season lawn. And then once you pick one, run with it. If you want cool season, then focus on killing out the rest of the Bermuda, seed fescue into it, call it good. If you want Bermuda, kill out the fescue, use a selective herbicide like what's an easy one? Revolver or Monument, trifloxysulfuron. Put that down, spray it out, kill the fescue, push the Bermuda, it'll grow in, cover it, no harm, no foul. So you're in Middle Tennessee, so what's going to be the easier grass to maintain? In my opinion, it'd be Bermuda. But some people don't like Bermuda. So ultimately you have to make that as your own determination. Jeff Borkowski says, do you know why Velocity was discontinued as the only selective rough-top bluegrass and cool season grasses? Yes, because nobody was buying it. And that's really all it came down to. Nobody was buying it. It was extremely expensive for like a pound, and a pound did not go very far. You're looking at $800, $1,000, something like that. Whoa, I jumped down. I lost my spot. I'm going to get it back, though. Here we go. Gravy says, I know you're well connected in the industry. Do you know any doctors of agronomy in my area that could help me with local lawn care issues? Doctors of agronomy in North Dakota? Unfortunately, I don't, Evan. I can get to looking around. PhD agronomist, Dakota. I got a note here. I'm going to look at this, and depending on what I can find, I will let you know, and I will put it over in the Discord. For those of you that are wondering what goes on before and after the show, I'm going to throw a little link up right there, but it's top secret. The fishing professor says, I've heard that humic acid locks up phosphorus and makes it unacceptable for grass uptake. Is it accurate? Yes, for a period of time. Yes, but it's not forever. So it's not like if you apply humic acid and phosphorus together, that phosphorus is going to be gone for the rest of life. You never get it. It's just going to deposit as some sort of mineralized, like ferric phosphate in the soil or something. That's not the case. But temporarily, it will inhibit uptake. And this is the fishing professor, and I think this kind of needs to be said. This is what I was talking about on the radio show on Thursday. Is that the two primary functions of humic acid are soil flocculation, so aggregating of soil particles, and then the second part of that would be chelation, and chelation is going to occur on your metallic salts of metals. So your ferrous ions, your zinc ions, your copper ions, your manganese ions. Those are the ones that are going to be chelated. And more so, it's actually the fulvic acid portion of that tends to do more of the complexing than the humic acid. Humic acid being better for soil particle aggregation. So anyway, just there you go. Myers Billy, what can I do about earthworms casting? I mean, there's a million. I'm not even going to go down there, to be honest, because it's off label, and I'm not going to talk about it. Brush them out. Get you a nice brush, a broom, and brush them out. Earthworms are a good thing. You don't need to get rid of it. Strike It Rich. Buy more compost. Yep, that's easy enough. That would be what I would do. Strike It Rich. Craig Kalkman, I've got many weeds after a complete lawn renovation in Rochester, New York last fall. How early can I hit it with weed control? As long as it's not frozen, you can spray it. Go ahead. Depending on how cold you are, I'd probably use an ester-based formulation on your broadleaf herbicide. But yeah. Benjamin ZBT, what's up, dude? Matt, what are your thoughts on applying fert in spring macros? Cool season turf-type tall fescue, New Jersey soil temps about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. I've been hearing both sides of the spectrum. I mean, it's pretty simple. Yeah. I mean, if you got the soil temps, and just run with it. Absolutely run with it. I would not be hesitating by any means. I've got lots of people that use our material right now in New Jersey that have been going for well into 2 weeks right now. And that's everywhere from northern Jersey all the way down to southern Jersey and coastal Jersey. So in my opinion, you're behind schedule already. So I would get after it, sir. Brian says, best way to keep bees, wasps, yellow jackets out of the lawn, bushes, etc. That's a good question. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I really don't have any input for you there. Someone else may, but I don't. I don't do it. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures. What up, Mr. Martin? A little bit late, but better late than never. Hey, welcome aboard, sir. Welcome aboard the Soul Train. Justin Mitchison, my Kentucky 31 is growing 4 inches a day because of that darn Carbon X. I think I'll throw down some more. Attaboy. Well, here's kind of thing too. It's Kentucky 31. That's a pasture grass. So it's going to grow like a pasture. That's for sure. Do you know when Char X will be back? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I ought to block you for that, but I think you did it as a joke, Matt Martinez, because I know you. Otherwise, I would block you. Can't stand it frustrates me. It frustrates me. You know, when you have as many years, 5, 6, 7 years invested into a project to have somebody attempt to copy it like that. And it's not just me, it's my business partner, John Borden. It's the people we have to report to. It's our investors. It's all the people we employ at the plant and their families. And so to be just outright blatantly copied like that is just, I don't know. It disgusts me. But we're going to move on from that one. Whew, a little heavy. What's up, Ace? How are you, good sir? Ned Galick said, actually ordered my X-Soil today for Pete. Can I spread one 45-pound bag over 7,500 square feet instead of 4,500 as written? Will it still help, or do I need to get more? You can, but you're not going to get the visual impact out of it that you would if you spread it over 4,500 feet as written. So, in my opinion, I would probably get more, and that's just to make sure you're getting the results out of it that are intended by that product. And in order to get that result out of it, it's to put it out at 10 pounds per thousand. Lambert, what's going on, man? Steve, what are you doing, man? Steve, seriously, that is so unnecessary. I love you to death, Steve. I love you to death, Steve. I don't want your damn money. And in fact, I'm going to send that back to you somehow, some way. For those of you that are watching right here, Steve, Willie, and I, we go back for years now. I guess we met 4 years ago at the GIE. And for as old as he is, he's older than dirt. It's unbelievable how old he is, and he still gets out and sprays yards. I don't even think he needs to. I think he's retired like 300 times before in his life. Every time I talk to him, it sounds like he's on the verge of retiring again. But I mean, dude, unnecessary. But Steve really is one of the funniest people I ever met, and he's real good at pushing buttons, and he'll get some people fired up. Damn it, Steve. Seriously, man. Thank you. It's just not necessary, dude. I ought to kick your ass. I ought to drive up there to Kingsport. As soon as this ban is lifted, this coronavirus ban is lifted, I'm driving up there, and me and you, we're going to arm wrestle. Then I'm going to put you in the headlock, and then we're going to go out and have an adult beverage or 3. How about that? Man, I don't even want to do the show anymore. I'm done. I'm freaked out. Let me hit the reset button. Collect my bearings here. Lushy, stop. No. Don't start with me. All of Lambert, one of my favorite attorneys of all time right here. Matt, I have some centipede invading my zoysia. All the neighbors have centipede. Should I blanket quinclorac? If so, Is Duo Stick okay, or should I use some MSO? Also, is that okay to tank mix with certainty for the sedges? Yes, it is okay to tank mix with the certainty for the sedges. And in my opinion, I would much rather maintain zoysia than centipede. I'll tell you that right now. So I spray quinclorac, triclopyr, 2,4-D, and something else. Just going ham with it. Is what I would do. Ballistic? No, man. Stop it, dude. Stop it. I don't even have anything. My wife said, look at my hair. Look at my hair. My goodness, man. Falling apart over here. Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. So much for the show. Just freaking out over here. Hey, Matt. Kareem Gibson said, hey, Matt, can you check the Discord? I tagged you in some pictures. Can you give me an idea of what's going on with this Bermuda yard waking up out of dormancy? Yeah, actually, I saw these pictures somewhere else. And the first thing I noticed is that, one, it looks like maybe the onset of some, Kevin Shepard? Stop it. Quit it. It looks like a little bit of leaf spot beginning to form, or, yeah, I'd say that's some leaf spot forming on it. And then kind of my second thought on it, too, with all that purple in it, you're struggling with some phosphorus. Something is, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty clear. I think pretty strongly that is, you got some nutrient deficiencies going on, too. And the way that sheets, it looks like it's not getting a whole lot of sunlight. And it looks like it's had a lot of water moving across it. And so there may be even a little bit of winter kill in there. The first thing I would do is I would apply some monoammonium phosphate. And then I would come in right behind that, probably with some ammonium sulfate. And then I would come in behind that with like a 1010, 15, 20, something like that. That would be my approach. Now, I don't know that for sure. Purple stems can be signs of other things. I even see some red stems coming out there. So, but first things first, I'd go get some MAP, monoammonium phosphate, 1152.0, or if you can get DAP, 1846.0, put that out and start there, and then follow up after the fact with some nitrogen. Where are you at, sir? I don't know where you are. What? PJ says the 2-button rule should be changed to a 4-button rule next show. Stop it, Ryan. Ballistic. My wife. I'll do just one. Just one. When it hits your lips, it feels so good. Okay, where was I? Can you further explain the release curve for Carbon X? I'm trying to plan a program for my customers. Nick, where are you? So I would prefer to talk to you about this after the show if I could, just because I need about a 20-minute block to get it. You basically, the whole intent is to use biochar as an absorption site. So you think about CECs, right? CECs are going to be cation exchange sites that exist in the soil that can hold on to things. Like literally it'll form like a chemical bond with like potassium or magnesium or calcium, right? On the flip side, what's interesting about biochar is that it has an anion exchange capacity. So the release curve comes more from the combination of the different nutrient sources, the presence of the biochar in the material, and of course the organic material that's in it. So it's more of what I would call enhanced efficiency. And so looking at that chart that I have on the website is going to be pretty firm. Now, the sandier soil you have, the shorter that release curve will be. So if you're like in Lushy, I can't focus on what I'm talking about. Everybody's making me nervous as all get out right here. This is tough. The whole premise behind the product is to offer a bonding site, not just for K, cow, and mag, but also for N, P, and what is it, molybdenum, I think is your other anion. So you tend to get more of an enhanced efficiency type effect from it. So, sandy soils. Sandy soils, you tend to get a faster release out of it just because, the hydrotor is not perfect. It's just another option. It's like, anyway, it's not perfect. So sandy soil, 6 weeks is going to be about it. If you're in more firm soils with more clay content or more silt, then you'll start to eke that up into 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. So if you have a pretty decent clay foundation, you're probably going to get closer to like 12 weeks out of it. David Hensel says, Matt, a ton of your content has EDM techno music in the intros and transitions. Is that type of music your jam or not? Dude, I am such an equal opportunity music guy. If you looked at my music list, it'd blow your mind. It's completely all over the map. I have to say that used to, like way back in the day, my wife, like where a lot of those EDM and techno songs are being used, my wife was editing my videos. And so she would pick a lot of the music, and then when I took over, I just kind of carried with the theme. And plus, when you're editing video, it helps to listen to that because it kind of forces you to want to hurry up and move through it. And then, so that's kind of how it happened. And at this point, and it's easier to find, I can't use like a song from Justin Timberlake or something like that. If I did that, I'd get a strike against my channel. They could pull it down. So you have to use no copyright music, and it's easier to find EDM music as no copyright music than the other genres. I love the closed caption ability to screw up these chemical names. I can only imagine. Mike Moore said, hey, Matt, in New England, northeast Pennsylvania, turf type tall fescue, you can take a bluegrass. The north side, 2 feet off the house, I just can't get the grass to grow. What kind of seed should I use? Man, if you can't get tall fescue to grow, fine fescue would be your other bet. But the north side of the house, huh? At some point, you're going to hit a diminishing point of return when it comes to light, and you're not going to have enough light, and that's just the way it is. So, I'm wondering if that's just the situation you're running into right there. So, I would say kind of last effort right there would be fine fescue. And that's just kind of going off what you've told me here. I really don't have a whole lot of the story. Mr. Halpany, Matt, first spring on turf tight tall fescue after nuking builder seed job. 99% sure annual rye is running wild. Do I embrace and keep overseeding yearly? Fusillade, stop worrying about it. Let North Carolina heat kill it. Unfortunately, this year is just going to suck. And I'm guessing if you put down turf tight tall fescue and you got a bunch of annual rye coming up, that could have just been seed bank from when they did their seed job. I've seen that happen a lot. If you used any straw, I've seen a lot of wheat come up in the straw. So if you're 99% sure it's annual rye, I'd probably just let the heat take it out for now in the summer, and then just understand that when the heat does take that out, allolepathy is going to run rampant, and you're going to lose some sections of your yard, and then just plan on overseeding it and doing a repair job. Tony Tillman, what's up, big dude? Is there anything that you can spray on Bermuda sod installed in December to clean up grass broadleaf weeds without damaging it? Yeah, I would first give it the old tug test to make sure it's rooted down. And then now the second part of this that you're probably not going to like is that it's going to be one of the expensive sulfonyl ureas. So I never had any issues spraying newly sodded that was, relatively tacked down with Monument, and that's going to be extremely effective. So I would get down an application like Monument plus 3-way and call it good. Run with it. JG said, hi, I am in Seattle area. Whoa. I jumped way down here. Zone 8B, I have a lot of moss. All moss killers out. Killers, moss out, rid moss, etc. I have a lot of sulfur. My soil test says I have too much sulfur already. How to get rid of moss? I would probably look at a product like carfentrazone ethyl and a chainsaw. Those would be your two best friends. And I would say if you're dealing with moss issues, you're probably dealing with shade issues, and you're probably dealing with water infiltration issues. And so first things first is you can get rid of it if you want, but if you don't go back in with new grass to replace it, so it's going to be a multi-part process. Kill or rake up or get rid of the moss, however you want to go about it. Seed, agitate soil surface, seed, get that seed up and established. And if anything is inhibiting growth from that point forward, because moss will not kill grass, but grass that dies can be replaced by moss. So if you've got shade that is going to weaken the turf and is going to thin out and then cause more moss to come back, then you need to start correcting the shade issue, because that's the real underlying issue. Jason Miller says, hey, Matt, got a cool season lawn in Connecticut. I want to apply tenacity. Last year for some weedy grasses invading my Kentucky bluegrass rye mix. Can I just switch from prodiamine to Scotch to mesotrione for pre-emergent? You can. Yeah, by all means. They do have extension services out there. If you listen to the radio show, Strike It Rich, you would hear we actually had some fun on the radio show with the North Dakota extension agents. It was a good time. Velflow, is that what that says? Velflow 68 says, oh, wait. Steve Darcy said, Matt, piggybacking Jason Miller's question, Nimblewell in Iowa sprayed out monthly with mesotrione last year. It would bleach but not kill. Thoughts? I would probably head Pilex. And the second part of that too, Steve, is I would make sure you had a very nice surfactant in it, like an organosilicone plus a crop oil concentrate. You're going to need a lot of penetrative power. And typically what I would treat it like Bermuda, right? So I would do it monthly in the fall as it goes dormant to try and starve that root system so it can't come out of dormancy the next year. So timing plus a good penetrative surfactant, and then, of course, the product. I always use Pilex. I've never been a big tenacity person personally. I just haven't. Velflow says, I'm in Dallas, Texas. I killed my Bermuda and planted tall fescue. Woo! Am I too far south? I'm right on the line in some transition zone maps and out of the transition zone on other maps. Well, I tell you this right now. In my opinion, I think you are way too hot to be growing tall fescue. You can do it. You can. But it's just going to be a considerable more pain threshold you're going to have to tolerate. When it gets hot outside, you're going to have to deal with just a lot of funky things taking place. Get ready to blow your budget on fungicide. So bite the bullet, get your azoxystrobin, get your propiconazole, get you some picrostrobin, get you some what's the other one? Subdue Max, mefenoxam. Because in order to get it to live, you're probably going to need all of that, in my opinion. Jay Rich says, what would the maximum pounds of N you would put on centipede at a time? I've put a pound down at a time with no problem. And then, I may do like a half pound afterwards. Not that I'd say I'd recommend that, but it's doable. RBL Jackson, Matt, I heard you say MSM sterilizes soil 2 ounces per acre. Is that on label to use as sterilizer in rock landscape beds? Loving the radio show. I'm in downloading. Hey, sweet. Good deal. No, that's not. That's more for bare ground applications, not for rock landscape beds, because rock landscape beds are typically there to move water, and this product can move with water. So that would not be a product to use in rock landscape beds. Follow up on the velocity question. The rough top bluegrass has taken over many turf-type tall fescue lawns up my way northeast. How would you handle? Nobody knows. Dig it out, sod it, you name it. It's the situation we're in now. Matt Martinez says, what are your thoughts on minimum levels of sustainable nutrition from paste turf? Okay. And this is kind of a hot topic for me. I get real excited talking about it, so I'm going to try and keep it toned down. In my opinion, it's too low. So the whole premise behind the MLSN is the absolute minimum that you can sustain a plant for a playing surface. Playing surfaces do not necessarily have to be green. Green isn't always the number one characteristic, because green doesn't equate to a ball rolling a 12, 13, 14 on a stimp meter, which is the primary point of maintaining athletic turf is, right? And so the whole premise there was on golf and sports turf and how true the ball could roll. So it wasn't about peak aesthetics. So in my opinion, it gives us a great data point that we know if we are at the MLSN or lower, that plants are going to start to die. You know, so it's not a number I want to flirt with at all. Like, and typically when I'm at about 100% of the MLSN, I'm starting to freak out when I'm looking at soil tests. Like, I'm starting to enter panic mode. Jeff McAvoy, any plans for Stress X available to the DIY community? Yes, we are still working on that. We've got our sulfate of potash supplier lined up. What we have to do now is we have to provide forecasting for the next 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. And then if we hit their demand on 3, 6, 9, and 12 months, then they will supply us the sulfate of potash in the appropriate particle size for a spreadable fertilizer. The only other option would be if we actually went and bought it at a like a co-op or something like that. But the problem is that at that point you're paying retail prices for sulfate of potash, and so we would have to go up on our pricing. And so we are trying to avoid doing that at all costs. But we think we've got it about figured out right now. Why is it not recommended to apply pre-emergent and fertilizer within 14 days of each other? I have never seen that for as long as I've lived, Ron. So I really don't know. I've never heard of that. Vladimir Martinez says a lot of new development in both liquids and granular fertilizers and soil amendments. Do you believe grass seed is going to be developed? It is developed every year, but you have to remember how long it takes for grass seed development to take place. You have to show multi-year trials of benefits in order for it to happen. So, and these new seed varieties come out every year, but they may only farm, enough for 5,000 pounds of seed or whatever. And it'll be, and me and you, we're not going to be able to find it. Like, it's going to have to be a very specific grower, a very specific course, a very specific field that has the budget to be able to afford something that's going to cost, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 a pound. And so they're not going to sell it to someone like you and I that wants 50 pounds or even wants 2,000 pounds or even wants 10,000 pounds. They're looking for somebody who's ready to stroke a major check and be done with it and have the cash flow to be able to do it, because it's going to be in such high, tight specs of growth. So there is a lot of new seed coming out all the time. You can look at the NTEP trials, loaded with seed varieties. That's what they do every year, is put out these new seed varieties. The problem is that trying to get them farmed at the rate you would need it to supply for a good portion of the United States, not everybody wants to do that. So it gets expensive. Older than dirt, but does well on a soil test. There we go. How much Tito's and Rumplemints? Jake, you better not do that. I will put you in a. I'll put you in a headlock and what do they call it? I'll give you a noogie. Can I use a product like RGS to replace Lesco's 3008 fertilizer? No. Andrew, RGS is a biostimulant. It's a combination of humic acid and kelp. There is no fertilizer at all. Could you run a 3008 alongside RGS? Yes, absolutely. But RGS is not a fertilizer. It offers zero nutrition to your turf. If you only ran a biostimulant on your grass, ultimately the grass would end up failing because it's starving to death. Yard Smart, what's up, dude? Hey, Matt, would I still get same germination from overseeding with liquid aeration instead of cores? Thanks. There is an interesting video. Let me see here. I got it on the top monitor. Picture perfect lawn maintenance. I think this is the one. Okay. Who was that? Yard Smart. There's your link. Wait. That was the wrong link. Hang on. Let me do this. There's the appropriate link. That's liquid aeration versus core aeration. Check that out, and you can make your own determination. Let's see. Sam Clemens, how often to apply liquid iron? It depends on what you're using it for. So remember, iron is just a way to force a bunch of chlorophyll into the plant. It's not, iron is going to play a relatively small function in the performance of a plant. So it has to be part of an NPK program. You can't just switch to an iron program. So, how often you apply it is dependent on your NPK program. So I can't just answer it like that. It doesn't work like that. If you see what I'm saying, it's a supplement, right? So if you wanted to say like time it, 3 weeks after my last application of, a quarter pound of nitrogen or a half pound or a full pound of nitrogen or whatever, 3 weeks after that, you could do it like that. But I wouldn't just say like, okay, every 2 weeks I'm going to spray iron. I think a lot of people make that mistake. And in my opinion, it is a mistake to do that. Just for Men is working the hair. I appreciate that. Trying. We need to start Corona cut pics of our hair after our wives cut our hair or cut our own. Believe it or not, Fish Duck, my wife does cut my hair every time. But it's been a long time since I've had a haircut, and so it looks bad right now. But she actually does a great job, and I would rather her cut my hair than anybody else. How many times a week are you mowing the lawn while shut in? Strike it, Rich. I hate mowing the yard, so none, 0. I'm not a mowing guy. That's for all you lawn nuts like to do all that mowing stuff. I don't. I like to treat lawns. I don't like to mow it at all. This is too much fun on a Sunday night. I hear you. You're in Georgia, Kareem. Yeah, definitely throw down some MAP or DAP first and see what kind of response you get. Where are we? Unless he's spreading compost over the yard. Look at that. Mangoes as weapons. Yeah, brother. Okay, Kevin Shepard answer there. There we go. It is not meant as a nitrogen source. It is not a nitrogen-driven product. Old man is averaging 400,000 square feet every day and loving it. He's getting it done, said Steve Willie. Scooting around on a Permagreen with afterburners and nitrous oxide. Woo! Look at this. OSU Turfman said, fun fact, fastest growing grass seed production state is Minnesota. Hi-ya. Johnny Palmer said, I have tall fescue for liquid aeration. Do you add a surfactant as a rule of thumb when spraying? When should a surfactant be used? Typically, a surfactant is going to be used when you need to cut down the surface tension of water. If you're using a liquid aeration product, chances are it is a surfactant product. So there's no reason to run a surfactant with a surfactant. So I wouldn't do it then. I would save your surfactant uses for like fungicide applications or post-emergent weed control applications. Shane Brady, the hardest working man in lawn care, said, I have never seen so many husbands, fathers out mowing this early. The kids and wives must be driving them crazy. Hey, Matt, is there any chance of a free product giveaway in the future? How can we register? So we're not really set up to do that. So typically what we do is we ask other people to do giveaways, and then we'll support them. And we were actually approached by somebody here recently, and we will have one coming up. And all of that will be announced on Instagram, how to register and participate in that. Can you lower the pH of soil by just improving drainage? It's kind of a stretch. I see where you're going with that maybe, better infiltration of water and then moving it away faster. You may be moving more carbonates with it. I could see that. Chances are probably not. Your better bet would just be going ahead and correcting the pH by reacting it out with an acid. Princess Cuts, hey, Matt, can I apply pre-emergent next to a strip of my lawn that I seeded? Yep, you sure can. Larry George said, where can I get some Carbonex Pro? If you go to online, let's see. And by the way, Carbonex Pro and CX DIY are the same product. So just because you have CX DIY doesn't mean you don't have Carbonex Pro. It's the same thing. It's just branded differently. But you can go to carbonearth.com, and I will only support pro orders. So if you're a homeowner and you contact me this way, I'm going to direct you over to Alan or Pete. Just a word of warning, don't take it personally, but we have limited resources that we can handle, and so that's why we partner with people like Alan and Pete, is because they can handle the volume of DIY assistance. We can't. We're just too small of a company. So you can go to carbonearth.co/where to buy fertilizer. And if you are a DIY person, you can go to find it. If you are a professional, you can find it there as well. There we go. Matt, for guys who are real mowing Bermuda, does it change the watering requirements? I hear water deep and less off 1.5 inches a week, but does that work on yards at 1/2 inch or less water daily? Look, Ray's gonna get at you there, right there. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna affect it all that much. I really typically I get it just straight off of rain here. So how much watering do I do? None. Even when I was in Memphis, very rarely did I water. Even when I was in Augusta, it was pretty much the same thing. Larry, no, it's not any better. It's the exact same. It is the exact same. So CX DIY and CX Pro. There you go. Steve Willie, the Permagreen man, getting it done. Getting it done. All right, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in today. I had a great time. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Time has come up on 10 p.m. If you want to hang out, I will be around in the show after the show over at the Discord. Do you want to go to the Discord and see what's going on? I'll give you a link. This is kind of a recovering group. I don't know how else to describe it other than it's a bunch of people who, like to have a good time. So you can head on over there and attend the show after the show, and you can run into people like OSU Turfman and Ray. The Green Doc is going to be there, and a lot of these names we see right here in the chat are going to be over there as well. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. We will see you next week, and we out. Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far, but those words couldn't take to heart. I knew the day would come, be the chosen one. Yeah. I never had a safe place to hide, run to the end of the tunnel to find a train on a shining sun to be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history. Something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality.